In a village nestled between mountains and whispering rivers, far away from the noise of the world, there lived a girl named Amira. A girl whose silence spoke louder than thunder, louder than drums, louder than war itself. This is her story, a story of courage, a story of sacrifice, a story of the quiet power of learning.
Long ago, in the village of Deriska, books were forbidden for girls. Not because books were dangerous, but because the power inside them terrified those who ruled. The village elders said, "A girl who reads begins to question. A girl who questions begins to dream. And a girl who dreams becomes too strong." And so, the small village library, once a warm wooden house filled with stories, became a locked, dusty shell. But the world has a strange way of choosing its heroes, and sometimes it chooses the quiet ones.
Amira was unlike the other children in Deriska. She hardly spoke, not because she couldn't, but because she felt words deeply before releasing them. Her silence wasn't emptiness, it was thought. It was observation. It was strength. People joked, "Amira is so quiet, you must check if she's breathing." And she would smile shyly, her dimples answering for her voice. Her mother often said, "If hearts had sound, Amira's would be the loudest in the village." But Amira had a secret. Every night, when the moon was high, she tiptoed to the locked library window and listened to books calling to her. One night, something changed. As she leaned against the library's wooden frame, the old window, tired from years of neglect, creaked open on its own. A tiny breath of wind brushed her cheek, and inside she saw it. A single dusty lamp, a table, and hundreds of books staring back at her like long-lost friends. Her heart pounded like a talking drum. She whispered her first full sentence in days. "You've been waiting for me." And so began the journey of the Silent Librarian.
Every night, when the village slept, Amira slipped into the library. She read everything. Stories of queens who outwitted armies, eagles who learned to fly with broken wings, and children who rose from ashes to change their world. She learned histories, sciences, poems, and riddles. Sometimes she laughed so hard at funny tales that she had to cover her mouth with both hands to avoid waking the village. Sometimes she cried quietly, letting tears fall onto the pages, her tears becoming small watermarks of gratitude. And every night she whispered, "Knowledge is freedom."
But secrets, like sunlight, cannot stay hidden forever. Other children began noticing something strange. Amira, the quiet girl, suddenly knew answers to questions the village elder himself couldn't answer. How many stars are there? Why does the river bend? Who wrote the first tale of the wandering moon? Amira would smile shyly, blink twice, and answer with the accuracy of a wise old sage. Children were amazed.
Even adults were baffled. Rumors spread. Has Amira swallowed an encyclopedia? Did she meet a talking spirit at night? Maybe she found the lost teachings of the ancient ones. But one rumor reached the wrong ears. The strict village chief, Bashiru the Iron Palm, heard whispers that a girl had been learning secretly. And he vowed to find her, because men like Bashiru were afraid of educated girls. One moonless night, Amira slipped into the library, unaware that Bashiru had set a trap. As she opened a book, she heard heavy footsteps, torches, voices, anger. "Someone is inside! Break the door!" Books trembled as the villagers banged on the door. Amira froze. Her only escape was a tiny back window, a window so small even a skinny goat would struggle to pass through. She whispered to the books, "I won't let them burn you," because she knew if they found her, the library would not survive. With trembling hands, she squeezed through the window, scratching her arms, tearing her dress, but she escaped into the night. Behind her, the library door burst open. "They escaped?" Bashiru growled. From that night on, Amira became the village's most wanted mystery. But something magical happened. The children of Dariska, her friends, her admirers, refused to let her courage die. They formed a secret circle, calling themselves light carriers. Every night they gathered in abandoned courtyards and narrow alleyways. Amira taught them everything she had read: math using pebbles, science using leaves, history using shadows and sticks drawn in the sand, stories using only her glowing eyes and soft voice. Children whispered among themselves, "She's not just reading, she's becoming a teacher." And that's how the Silent Librarian became the silent light of Dariska. Eventually, Bashiru discovered the children's meeting place. He marched there with guards, shouting, "No more learning! No more secrets! Knowledge is power, and girls must not have power!" The children screamed and scattered. Amira, though trembling, stood still. For the first time, she raised her voice boldly. "Books do not harm. Ignorance does." Her voice echoed so loudly that even the guards flinched. Bashiru raged. "You dare speak to me?" She nodded, then said something that shook the entire village. "You can imprison a library, but you cannot imprison a mind." Silence fell. Even the wind paused. For the first time, the villagers questioned Bashiru's rule. Mothers stepped forward. Fathers stepped forward. Young boys, old women. Every one of them realized the child they once mocked for being quiet had become the bravest among them. Under pressure from the entire village, Bashiru had no choice. He dropped his staff, lowered his head, and walked away in shame. That evening, the villagers gathered around the locked library. The oldest grandmother, her hands shaking with wisdom, placed the rusty key in Amira's palm and said, "A child who risks her life to learn deserves the right to teach the world." Amira unlocked the library. The door opened not with anger, but with forgiveness. From that day,
she became the official librarian of Deriska. Children ran through the shelves. Women learned to read their names for the first time. Even old men cried as they touched books they had been forbidden to open. The library was alive again. And Amira? She smiled softly and whispered to the shelves, "We are free."
Years later, people would still tell the story of the quiet girl whose courage spoke louder than oppression. They would say, a whisper can be stronger than a weapon. A book can defeat fear. A child can change a village. And in every storytelling circle, people ended with the same truth. Because of Amira, Deriska became a garden of knowledge. Amira proved that bravery doesn't always roar. Sometimes it reads. Sometimes it teaches. Sometimes it simply refuses to remain silent. And dear listener, if this story touched your heart, if Amira's courage inspired you, if her journey made you smile, cry, or think, then please, like this video, share it with someone who needs motivation, and subscribe to Moral Life. For more inspiring, heart-touching, emotional, and powerful stories that lift your spirit, open your mind, and remind you of the beauty of courage. Thank you for watching. Let knowledge light your path.